Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are optional. Strap in. The show starts right now.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. The man to my right is Evo, and we are back on this beautiful Monday. And happy Labor Day to everybody out there. We had some obligations to take care of this weekend, so we are coming to you guys on a Monday, but we are very, very excited to be here. Massive weekend of college football. NFL starts Thursday. Fucking Major League Baseball is getting crazy. The Cavs are going to be awesome. I'm very excited for today's show. We've got a ton of shit to go over, but Evo, how's the weekend? I know you guys were up at a wedding, so how's everything going? And tell those guys congratulations. I don't know if they're watching right now, but if you see them, tell them I said congratulations.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a wild, fun weekend. I'm still carrying on with my my drinking from the weekend here.
There you go.
Passion Fruit High Noon, not a sponsor, but
could be.
Would love it. Would love it. Yeah, so had a wedding to go to this weekend. Congratulations to the new bride and groom, Mr. Taylor Jewett and Mrs. Summer Jewett. I'm assuming she's taking the name. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
But it was an awesome wedding up in Sedona, Arizona, which is fucking beautiful up there. Like incredible.
I imagine it's awesome.
You get off of the 17, and you drive a little bit, and you're like, "Oh, this just looks like normal Arizona," and then all of a sudden you hit Red Rock, and you're like, what the fuck is this? It is like you're in a completely like in a Martian fucking type of scenery. I don't know, man. It was incredible. But yeah, it was a wild weekend. Hit a nice haboob on the way up to Sedona right before Phoenix, so that slowed everything down. And then accidents on the 17 getting up there. So what was like a 4.5 hour drive turned into over 6 hours, and didn't get in until late. But it was a great resort that we were at. Great wedding. Did some hiking. We talked about this before the show. I'm currently more disabled than normal because a lot of piss poor planning on my part. The lady and I went out with a bunch of people that we used to work with, good friends, and made a nice, easy hike to a cave that was eerily like a vagina.
I saw the pictures. You guys were definitely climbing in a giant vagina.
You can see where the clitoris is and everything. Yeah. And, you know, us guys, we can almost never find it, but it's just so big.
It was right in your face this time.
Yeah. So this birthing cave where, you know, it just looks, it's called the birthing cave because it looks like a big old puss. But it didn't smell like turtle tank or anything, so we're good to go there.
Okay, perfect.
And then, you know, hiked back from that, and it was maybe total round trip of 3 miles, no problem. The second hike I went on, I fucked up because my water source was maybe a third of the way full when I left in the morning. And then it got up to, you know, like 90s, 100 degree in Sedona, and it was maybe a 6-ish mile round trip to this next thing that we were doing, and I ran out of water halfway through. Hadn't eaten food. I know the girl, she was a trooper. She was in the same boat, just not cramping. She was getting lightheaded. Her fingers were swelling because apparently your blood starts to move away from your extremities to go to your legs.
You got to keep it in and keep it alive.
Like and she's like feeling dizzy and stuff too. But me, I was cramping up to the point of Charlie horses where I could barely walk, and I was just trying to push through. And I was legitimately worried for a little bit. I was like, am I going to have to fucking have someone like carry me out of here because I can't walk? I was embarrassed and scared because I was like, I fucked up. I should know better, having been in the Army for long
having
enough.
Been in the Army for quite some time. You should have known.
But I thought, I'll tough it out. And then I'm looking at my heart rate, and my heart rate is fucking through the roof, and I'm not breathing heavy. it's just my body's like, oh, we're gonna fucking die.
We're dying right now, by the way.
So I would put I didn't stop sweating. Technically, my lower back had a little sweat on it still, so I wasn't at the heat stroke phase, but I was definitely in that heat exhaustion, I'm pretty sure. And we're 2 days removed, and I still can barely walk right now. So
get that high noon in you. It'll obviously help with the soreness. I'm
high noon. It is great for hydrating your calves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need as much hydration as you can get for those big ass calves of yours. Yeah, I'm drinking a pear one. They had a new one come out. The pear is fucking delicious as well. Once again, High Noon, not a sponsor. However, their product is delicious. Yeah, this is a great ad.
We're a sponsor because
could be a sponsor.
Hannah had a watermelon one yesterday, and she sprinkled a little tahini on the rim and in it, and she was like, "It's perfect." So if you like that little bit of a Latin flair to it, go for it. Delicious. Yeah, I personally, pineapple's my favorite because I gotta make sure that the squirt is tasting delicious. Yeah. But
I like all the citrus ones. I don't really, the watermelon's a little too sweet for me. But all the citrus ones are pretty good. This pear's not bad. But you brought up tahini, and I almost started busting up laughing. So producer Amber is, obviously incredibly, beautiful, intelligent. However, she is white AF.
Mm-hmm.
So Graydon was, trying. He was doing some snacks at his buddy's house, and they had like some cucumber. You sprinkle some lime on there, and you add tahini. Right, nice little easy snack. Well, producer Amber was like, so I got to get, what is that shit called? That Tajin, right? I got to get Tajin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it will always be referred to as Tajin in his house. However, it's tahini.
We produce it up. We pronounce it American up in here. It's Tajin in this house.
It was so, I was like, what the fuck is Tajin? What are you talking about? She's like, that fucking, the Mexican seasoning. I was like, tahini?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was so, Graydon's laughing his ass off. One of the few times that he can get away with, making fun of mom a little bit, but it was, it was a sight to behold when she realized the way it was pronounced.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But how was your weekend, man?
It was good, man. We didn't do a fucking thing this weekend. We didn't have any youth sports this weekend. Graydon had his bye week this week. Their team is rolling right now, though. First game they won 36-6. We talked about. Second game they won 37-12. Graydon did get recognized. He got a couple helmet stickers for perfect snaps, no missteps on his blocks. So everything is going really, really good right now for him. I'm excited for the next game, though. We'll start hopefully stepping up a little bit in competition, and we'll see what these boys are made of, because they got a chance to go win a chip, and I'm very excited for them. Coaches have been great, so that's all I got. You sports wise, nobody sent anything in. I'm gonna keep tossing some feelers out there. I'm gonna try to find some more young athletes that we can spotlight on the show, because I really enjoyed being able to do that. Was it last week for the Cooper family? So if we can find some more of those, if you guys have any young athletes out there that you'd like us to kind of highlight, send us some tape. Send us this little write-up. We'll talk about them here on the show. We want to recognize kids who are out there working their asses off and doing great things to make themselves better. So, but yeah,
absolutely.
That was my weekend.
There's a bunch more video, posted of Malachi and some pictures and stuff like that over the past week or so, and he's still looking good. But we can't just focus on Malachi the whole time. We want to get everyone else in there. I do have one thing that I can kind of add in here. It's a picture I sent you, and I don't know if you can find a quick.
This is not something we want to highlight, but this is something we should definitely talk about.
Yeah. I don't know if you can find a way to pull it up while I'm kind of going over it. I got it out here on my phone real quick, but
I got it on my phone
having to do with
see if I can
local youth sports here in the Southern Arizona area. So Wilcox, Arizona is pretty close by to where Mike and I were here in Sierra Vista. But there was a police department press release basically talking about embezzlement and theft from the Wilcox Youth and Football League funds. So On August 30th, 2022, Wilcox Police was advised of an embezzlement, theft, and fraud from the Wilcox Football and Cheer League, who stated that their treasurer had taken in excess of $17,000 from one bank account. Forensic examination of the accounts identified the suspect, and I'm not going to even say the name, a 34-year-old woman who was the treasurer from Wilcox, Arizona. The treasurer, or she's the treasurer for the football league. On August 31st, 2022, this individual was interviewed and admitted her involvement in the misappropriation of the funds. Due to the extenuating circumstances, she was not booked into the Cochise County Jail, and instead she will be formally charged through the Cochise County's Attorney's Office. Search warrants are also being served in regards to this investigation. Anyone having information in this case can contact so-and-so and so. Either way.
So there's that press release.
Well, we're gonna see the name on there now. So fuck
well, I mean, fuck it.
Honestly, I don't give a.
They put it out they put it out for the world to know.
I don't give a fuck, honestly, but fuck that person. It's pretty goddamn horrible. Now I don't have any of the information or links right now. I know that I've seen stuff on local town social media stuff that people are trying to create some benefits and things like that for the football league, because $17,000 is nothing to laugh at, especially for, like, Wilcox is big, but it's not huge. That's a lot of money to go into the youth sports league. I know that there's restaurants and things like that, even, further away from Wilcox, that are like, hey, 100% of proceeds today are going towards refunding the sports league. I have no idea how bad this trickle-down effect is going to hurt the league, but I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have a painful year or a painful couple years.
Yeah. Well, so Wilcox, we've played Wilcox, or we did when we were out in Arizona, we played Wilcox. They have a decent little program. Their coaches are pretty good. I think Coach Q, the head coach that we had in Arizona, is buddies with one of the guys over there in Wilcox. They do border patrol stuff together. So this really sucks. Like, I will never understand, like, the desire to rip off a group of kids. Like, I understand people fall on hard times. You're not ever going to hear me, bash somebody because things are going rough if you've fallen on hard times. But this is not the way to deal with those situations. Like, you're affecting kids who are trying to go out and improve themselves and have an impact on their lives, their communities, because most of these youth organizations, they're in the community. They go out, they will do fundraisers or different things. And it pisses me off. And I'm really glad that there are some businesses that are trying to step up and raise some money for these kids so they can continue to have their league. Because they got some kids that are pretty good damn players over there.
At the bottom of this press release, there is, it does say a GoFundMe account is being created. Anyone interested in contributing is invited to do so. I don't know what the actual GoFundMe is, but I'm pretty sure that if you look up, like, Wilcox, Arizona football, youth football, something like that on GoFundMe, you'll be able to find the GoFundMe for this. So if you are local, or if you are watching from afar, I'm sure it's something that if you feel so inclined as to donate to try to help them out, that would be amazing. Because I know it's super appreciated by them. Because, I mean, like I said, $17,000, is that a lot of money? Yes. Does it seem like a lot of money in the grand scheme of things? No. But to a youth sports league, that is a huge amount of money. Like I said, they're going to have difficulty getting uniforms for the players. So it's a terrible thing that happened to him. At least the culprit, and hopefully, if there's more than one person involved in this, they will figure it all out. But it's terrible. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the money back once they, go after this person or people, because usually if you're going to take that sort of money, you are putting it towards something quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know, just terrible. But by all means, wanted to put this out there so that way, if anyone is so inclined as to help the Wilcox Youth Football League funds, please go for it.
All right. I'll get rid of that. Stop. There we go. Yeah, that shit pisses me off so bad, man. I will never understand it, but I have 3 kids. I'm fully invested in kids. Like we start off our show every week, basically talking about at least bringing up youth sports, and hopefully people will be more involved. Actually, there was when I put that out. Black Spider. He's a personality kind of guy on Twitter, Cleveland Browns Twitter. He sent out he kind of retweeted some stuff and put up pictures of his kids when they were young. So that kind of stuff is awesome, man. Anytime we can get people involved in talking about youth sports and supporting that's what I want to do. But yeah, fuck that lady. I hope they throw her ass in jail for quite some time.
Absolutely.
So.
All right. But yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't bring that up here for the local youth sports, since obviously we like to go over youth sports, and even if it's an unfortunate situation like that, at least bring some light to it.
Absolutely. All right.
And
yeah.
$20 is $20 is watching. Yeah, it is upsetting. How's it going, 20? I know you just took a little vacay to San Diego. Insert whale vagina joke.
The pictures look beautiful, man. Like Amber even showed me, she's like, the background doesn't even look like it's fucking real. It looks like it's painted. It's a beautiful area, but I would go visit California San Diego for a weekend, but
most people don't really get it, but San Diego is primarily a military town, multiple military bases. So
very big military town. So I had a blast. Good. And guys, if you guys like video games, $20 is one of the best streams to watch on Twitch. He is badass at Call of Duty. I've hopped in there a couple times over here recently. Been trying to be more active in his channel. I want to show him support. So if you guys want to do the same, he is our dude. He is awesome. And he fucking murks people on the game. So go check that out. $20 is $20 on Twitch.
Absolutely. Speaking of a blast, old Dave, $20 Lineman is a blast.
He is a blast. All right. Are we ready to start diving into all the shit that happened throughout sports since we last talked? Because it's been a little bit extra time since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, just an extra couple days here. But yeah, I'm ready to get into it, man. Let's do it.
All right. I'm
fucking excited for sports that are coming up here in the next
week. Fucking too. We're going to hold off on those real quick. We're going to get done with our quick storylines before we hop into all the football. And a lot of this is going to revolve around Cleveland and Cleveland sports. You guys know I am a massive Cleveland fan. And the Cavaliers have made a huge fucking trade. A trade that sees Donovan Mitchell come over from the Utah Jazz. The Cavs send over Lauri Markkanen. And I don't know how to pronounce this young man's name, and I apologize because I'm about to butcher it. Ochai Agbaji, Colin Sexton, 3 unprotected first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. So a ton of capital going over to get Donovan Mitchell coming back. But for me, I'm not a huge basketball fan. I am a basketball fan, but I am not watching basketball every night. This is a massive trade, and this is going to position the Cavs to be a top 3 team in the East. And I could see them really making some additional moves, maybe some exemptions if they still have one. And this team can make a run at the finals because now they bring in Donovan Mitchell. That gives them 3 All-Stars under the age of 26. They had the runner-up for the NBA Rookie of the Year last year. They still have guys like a Kevin Love, who is very serviceable off the bench, a Ricky Rubio, who is really good at running a second unit. I am so fucking excited. Cleveland sports is going to be gangbusters here for the next 5 to 10 years because there is a ton of youth talent on all 3 of the teams, and Donovan Mitchell is an absolute superstar in the NBA. Even though I know there's some people that think there was too much, I think it's brilliant. You have a young core. Let's try to attack this shit and win now because you know what? Fuck them picks.
Hey, it's worked out in other sports, so might as well give it a try.
Yeah,
big trade. Obviously, the Jazz are kind of offloading a lot of players here, so might as well go get the basically best guy they got left, and Donovan Mitchell's no joke.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell is no joke. What I think is interesting, right? So this is a massive haul. It's 3 players, 3 picks, and 2 pick swaps. I think Donovan Mitchell is an absolute superstar. I think Kevin Durant is better than Donovan Mitchell, at least in some aspects of the game. If this is what it takes to get a Donovan Mitchell, and the Knicks completely fumbled the fucking bag and missed out on getting him, what the hell is the asking price for Kevin Durant if this is what Donovan Mitchell is going for?
We talked about it before when the Timberwolves ended up going after another Utah player in Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. This they had talked about Kevin Durant. They had some conversations with him, and the price is just insanely high. Like they're asking for like all of our young superstar core that or guys that could potentially become superstars. So it's
and that's
like
something
not
that the Cavs didn't have to give up at all in this trade for Donovan Mitchell. That's why there were so many picks. They didn't have to give up any all-stars. They didn't have to give up any real big youth talent. They gave up Colin Sexton, who is pretty good, but we weren't planning on re-signing him unless it kind of came down to we had to at the end there anyways. So he gets done in a sign and trade. So we didn't give up any real big-time contributors on this Cavs team, and then we're getting a massive contributor in Donovan Mitchell to help run that backcourt, which is going to be absolutely lethal.
Yeah. So congrats for the Cavaliers.
I'm very pumped. Very pumped.
You got good things going on in Cleveland sports right now. I mean,
we do have some good things, with the exception of the quarterbacks.
That's the thing is that it's when everything except for right now the Browns almost seem like the shakier situation just because of the quarterback stuff.
And they probably have the most talent. Of like, if you compare talent wise where they stand in the NFL versus the Cavs in the NBA and the Guardians and the MLB, the Browns probably have the most talent out of all the groups, but the biggest question mark is at the quarterback position, which we're going to get to football in a little bit, but I'm super pumped for the Cavs. I'm super pumped for the people of Cleveland, especially guys who love basketball here in Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell is going to be here for at least 5 years, I want to say, unless they offload him for, more shit later on. But I can't wait to see another championship in Cleveland. I missed the last one when LeBron brought one back. I was nowhere near this area. I was stationed down in Georgia. So if I can be here when a Cleveland sports franchise brings a championship home, you bet your ass I'm going to be down there. I'm going to be just in the thick of it, taking it all in. I'm going to have to make mom watch the kids. I'm not flipping any cars. I'm not going to jail. Done that once. It's not worth going again.
Fair enough.
All right, but I got nothing else in the world of the NBA. I know there were some other small things that kind of happened, but I'm good. Euro basketball, don't care.
Yeah.
But all right, so we're gonna hop over into Major League Baseball, and fucking division races are starting to get very, very close. The Yankees are on a massive slide. They have been for fucking months, basically since the All-Star break. The Rays are only 5 games out. Toronto's 6 games out. So that division is getting very, very close. If the Yankees don't figure it the fuck out, they might fall back to a wild card spot. And it looked like they were just absolutely going to run away with the best record in baseball when the year started. Aaron Judge continues to hit bombs, but they are on a massive slide, and those bombs are not doing enough.
Yeah, the Yankees are, I guess I just kind of expected after the All-Star break for them to continue what they were doing, but not the case. They are beatable, and it makes it a lot more interesting, especially because I have no doubt the Yankees are a playoff team, but if they're not able to sustain things right now, it is starting to bring in a lot more question of how are they actually going to perform in the playoffs? Could they be out pretty quick? So it makes it interesting. But of course, I got to be honest, I'm just more focused on this AL Central right now because things are getting so much tighter.
Yeah,
you guys are on a 5-game losing streak. The Twins just came off of a 5-game win streak. Now we've won like 66% of our last 9 games.
That's good.
But
6
we're
out of 9.
losing right now.
Thank God, because the fucking Guardians are in a massive slide.
Yeah, but we are tied right now for the lead in the AL Central, Guardians and the Twins, and Chicago had fallen off, but now they're starting to come back. They're only 2 games back again, so it is a very tight race here in the Central.
It absolutely
it's
is.
really anyone's ball.
So the Guardians this is going to happen with the Guardians throughout the season, and we just have to hope that we hit it at the right time. We're going to have real high highs, and we're going to have real low lows because we're so fucking young. There's going to be those ebbs and flows, probably more so than a typical baseball season because of the youth that is on that team. They're still trying to navigate their way through a full big league year. And you guys are starting to play better. So now we're tied. Like, I have no idea how this is going to come down. And then the White Sox, right? They're starting to creep back in. And I feel very conflicted with this White Sox team. They have played much better recently, but the reason they have played better is because Tony La Russa hasn't fucking been there. He has been out. He is, I believe he's ill or that he had something going on. So he has missed time and that team has started to play better. I think Tony La Russa needs to be done in Major League Baseball. I don't know why he still has a job. Like, I think he's bad for baseball. He at one point was one of the greatest managers, but the game is starting to pass him by. He is a little too seasoned for the brand of baseball that is being played now and the personalities that are in baseball. So I'm glad that he's gone, but that is making them play better and bringing them closer to this race. So I don't know which way to go. Hey, Tony, come hurry up, get back and finish this season so they can absolutely go into the shitter? Or is it better that he's gone and we're not, messing with the really good youth that they have on that team? I don't know which way to go, but I just hope that they, regardless of whatever happens, they just can't make the fucking playoffs. Because if they do, then it means I got to see Tony La Russa's ass in the fucking playoffs.
I mean, that's the problem is that to be honest, I don't know if there's any sort of precedent set for firing your head coach on a team at this point in the year when your team is in the hunt like this, because we're talking about the micro narrative right now of it is helping them of him not being there. But most people will be focused on the macro narrative of he's the coach of this team. He's the main dude. And obviously if they're in the hunt, he's doing something right is what the macro narrative will be, but it's not the reality. And I think we know this. It's just, can anyone else get behind that in that organization, which they should? Willie, I don't know.
There's no way.
And part of it is that, like I said, my Twins had their 5-game win streak, and we kind of started to let Chicago back into it. We lost 2 out of 3 against them recently, including a 13-0 shutout that was atrocious. But we did get the last one on them. Doesn't really fucking matter. We're playing the Yankees right now, and we're losing to them, unfortunately, 2-0, I believe. So I'm hoping that the Twins can continue to kind of find their feet a little bit. That's what you're saying, is that you guys are slumping, the Twins are playing better. We had a stretch where we played better here, and we absolutely fucking needed it to get back in this hunt. But I still feel like this is kind of the same team. The bat's livened up there for that 5-game stretch. You actually saw Correa, his bat starting to get a little bit more live. Buxton, his batting average is still a little bit further down than I'd like to see. But if those bats don't stay lively, it doesn't really matter. And it's like we're seeing splurts of good play here, and then they'll kind of regress. It's like that same sort of thing that we've been doing, where it's like we're middling. Right. We'll have a good week and then a bad week and a good week and then a bad week. And it's like we can't put any consistency to it. I really thought that 5-game stretch, we're not going to have long stretches of wins where you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 wins like that. But we need to be winning like 70% of our matchups.
Yeah, you need to probably get, I don't know, what, 3 of 5? 3 of 5 is a respectable thing.
That makes me feel better.
That right now, and that's better than we've been playing, right? Both of our winning percentages are .515. So we're just over every other game getting a win. If you move to, 3 out of 5, that's 600. That's really good fucking baseball. I mean, the Yankees have fallen under 600. The Mets are over 6. The Dodgers are retarded. Like I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that word. They are ridiculous in how good they are. They're 692 win percentage. They're almost winning 70% of their games. It's going to be very, very interesting. Somebody's going to have to win this motherfucker. And I'm worried that we're going to get cold at the wrong time, because we've seen this play out once already. We were really like kind of surprising, man. We're right there. And then we take this deep downturn, and then we're losing basically almost 10 straight. And then we come back and we take like a 5-game lead in the division. And now we're having that downturn again. Now we did play some tough teams. We were, Mariners absolutely put it on us. The Orioles, they were really good too. They spanked us. Really glad that we're running into the Royals in our next series, because that's a series we could sweep. Probably should sweep. So yeah, you guys running into the Yankees, who are also on a massive slide though. So somebody's going to get right here in the near future. I hope it's my team. I would be okay if it's your team, as long as it's not the fucking White Sox. And then also fuck the Yankees. Like I'm just going to come out and say it. Fuck the Yankees.
I mean, I've never been a fan of the Yankees. They've just tormented my Twins forever. That's the problem, is that even if the Yankees are in a slide, this is the best team for them to get out of that slide against is the Twins, because we have just perennially always not been good against the Yankees. And I fucking hate them for that reason. But like you said, someone needs to go out and win this. Like, if we keep playing this baseball the way that we are, someone is going to win, obviously, but no one's going to take that win. And that's what I want to see. I want to see someone step up and just grab it. Take the win.
I don't want to fucking back into a playoff spot. I want to fucking take command of the division and be strong going into the playoffs. If we get knocked out in the first round, fuck it. But at least we went in knowing or feeling confident that we can play October baseball and move on.
Absolutely. That's what we like to see.
Coming in on a slide is never fucking good.
Look, if you're gonna piss on the porch, let the big dogs eat, or whatever the fuck Dan Campbell said.
If you're gonna piss like a puppy, stay on the porch. Let the big dogs eat. It's
a Barstool shirt now, by the way.
Oh well,
available on their website.
Good for them. Good for Barstool. Good for Barstool.
But let's see someone take him by the nuts and go win this thing.
Yeah. All right. So I don't have anything else division race wise, but there is another baseball story that we absolutely need to talk about.
The machine
being short of saying it, he is so fucking close. I don't want to jinx him, but he hit 695 last night. And if you don't know who he is him, and him is Albert Pujols. He is on fucking fire right now. Comes in, pinch hit, home run, 695, 5 away, and he's still got a lot of fucking games to play. I don't want to be the announcer that says he's made 14 of his last 14 extra points right before something bad happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel very good about Albert's chances right now.
Do you think that he's using the juice?
Not a chance. Not a chance.
I keep on seeing stuff about that. Is that
everybody's asking.
It seems like it's a lot of passive. People will be like, well, he got caught for it before, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like he hasn't really been great the past couple of years, and now he's just hitting a lot of home runs. Is he juicing? We don't want to say he's juicing.
No.
Is he maybe juicing?
You're not gonna. We talked about this before. You're not gonna tarnish 20 years of doing what he's done for 2 months of happiness. You're not. There's no fucking way. And listen.
I mean, if he thinks he's not going to get caught,
yeah.
And Major League Baseball might be like, well, let's throw away these drug tests because this is a good story, and we need good stories in Major League Baseball.
Well, that's because Rob Manfred's the fucking the lead.
Remember the good old days when everyone was on the shit and baseball was fun to watch?
Yeah, you remember when we were giving them fucking fucking horse testosterone? And, there's no fucking way. Like, and so I've never taken gear. I've never used performance enhancing drugs. Yeah, not saying anything. I have never used gear, so I don't know how quickly it fucking turns around, and all of a sudden I'm now hitting baseballs at a mammoth fucking rate that I wasn't doing before. I don't feel like it's gonna be like, oh yeah, he passed a drug test earlier in the year, so I don't think there's any way. Now, don't get me wrong, TRT, he's an old man. If he wants to fucking hit up some TRT, I think he should be allowed. And he won't be allowed because it's, professional sports. But once you get older, I understand. Like, fucking TRT is awesome. Like, that shit's fucking great. But I don't think there's any way that Albert's doing anything insane and juicing to maybe make a run. I don't even think he thought he had a shot at 700 until this run started.
And that might be where it's really coming from, is like all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, this is actually within reach, and he's just showing out because he knows that this is it. Like, this
game's over.
This is the last dance for him, so might as well fucking, put everything into it. Not that he wasn't before, but I mean, yeah, sometimes you don't understand how reachable the goal is until some of those numbers start adding up, and you do a little bit of math, and you're like, wait a second. All right, let's fucking do this. Like, it's like if you're doing that 2-mile run in the army or something like that, and you're not sure you're gonna make it, and then you're like, wait a second, I see the finish line. Wait, I can do this. I just gotta really
keep
push
fucking
myself
moving.
Out, really stride out here, and I'm gonna make it. Maybe he's at that, last little stretch. He's like, wait a second, I can do this, and that's all the motivation that you need. That just little internal monologue. So
yeah, but I hope he fucking makes it. I think he has a good chance. But I'm not going to be the guy that says that's going to happen, because I hate that guy. The same guy that was doing it when the Ohio State Notre Dame game was going on said this guy hadn't missed in forever long, and then immediately went out there and fucking shanked one. But I got nothing else in terms of baseball. We ready to move on? We'll move on into that college football.
Absolutely.
All right. So college football is back underway. Massive weekend of games. And there were a few surprises. There were some not so surprises, because the first week of college football, it's either you're playing a really big game or you're playing fucking nobody. And we saw a lot of nobodies. We saw a couple somebodies. We saw some people that we thought were going to be somebodies that might turn into fucking nobodies. So we'll just kind of go through some of these scores here. And we'll start right at the top. Where's Alabama's game? Why is this not in fucking order? Alabama starts out number 1 in the country, 55-0 Utah State. This is to be expected. Yeah. Alabama is incredibly good. They have a really good chance to win a national title every fucking year, because Nick Saban is a goddamn genius. They're playing Utah State. This is not a shocker. This is not a surprise. Then we get to the number 2 team, Ohio State, Notre Dame, taking on number 5. So this is one of those big games. And I was very fucking nervous in that first half.
So I was at the wedding, sitting at the bar in between the actual wedding and the reception, and I was seeing a little bit of what's going on. And I was like, I didn't bring my phone with me because I just want to focus on the bride and groom. But man, I want to text Mike and be like, what the fuck is going on? Because this game's a lot closer than I expected.
It was a lot closer than I expected. The first half was tough. Our defense played well. We could not really get a rhythm on offense. I felt like we did not run the ball enough or well enough. Trey Hendrickson is going to be an absolute fucking animal. He is so good. Like, there's a ton of talent, but we lose Jackson Smith and Jigba in that first half. We're depending on some young guys to step up. Now we do have Marvin Harrison Jr., who played a decent game, but Notre Dame really kind of just stayed in a too deep shell, making us try to beat them underneath. It wasn't until a little later on that we were able to actually do that, where they stupidly walked the safety down and then allowed us to throw the skinny post for a touchdown. It was great. Game was going to be basically over at that point. Notre Dame is a little bit better than I thought, and I think that our offense is not quite where we expected it to be at the start of the season. Fall camp can only do so much. You got to start taking some live bullets. That's why I like having some of my starters play in the NFL, at least a little bit, so you can get into the live game action. Because the Scarlet and Gray game is all well and good, but you're still doing it. It's a practice. You're going against your own guys, and when you get up against somebody else, the guy across from you doesn't give a fuck about you, and he's going to try to take your head off. You need a little bit of that before you get into live game action. I think that we started to understand that. This Ohio State defense, though, is going to be one of the best defenses Ohio State has had in the last decade. They are that good. Sawyer is going to be an absolute superstar going forward. He was playing like a mug linebacker spot. He's typically a D end. They were walking him up, moving him around, 2-point stance, kind of falling back sometimes, coming up. He's going to be really good, and I think it's going to be a great transition for him when he goes to the NFL, playing as a down lineman last year, little mug linebacker this year. That's going to be a really good thing for him. So I'm excited to see us, continue on. We're going to have some tough games. Getting a good test from Notre Dame week 1. I expected it to be more, but I think our offense is still not quite where we expected it to be, especially after watching them put up, 50 at last game of the season against Utah. There's going to be some hiccups here and there, but we're going to have a nice little get right game next week when we play whatever dog shit opponent we have scheduled, because that's exactly what we do. We play a tough game to start and then play somebody who is just absolutely terrible the week following.
Mm-hmm. Now, CJ Stroud, obviously looked at as one of the potential top overall picks, big time quarterback. His stat line, 24-34, 223 yards with a 6.6 yard average and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 89.5 QBR. What is your assessment of how he played and transitioned towards an NFL caliber quarterback? Because I think that's going to be one of the narratives that we have to look at this year, is comparing him and Bryce Young and any of the other potential young superstar quarterbacks that are going to be going into this draft, because this next NFL draft is expected to be a quarterback heavier draft.
He needs to be quicker on his reads. That's one thing that I noticed. And he still sails the ball when he misses. Which worries me, because sailed balls, tip passes, those are picks. He needs to be a little bit better in his reads, be more confident in what he's seeing, because he was late a couple times. I think he will have the opportunity to get better at that. He's still young. He's a redshirt sophomore. So this is only his second year of big-time college football. He's going to need some grooming. He's going to need some seasoning. I think Bryce Young's going to need the same thing. Bryce is a little bit more polished as a passer right now than Stroud is, but I think there's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of ability there. I want to see a little more decisiveness in the reads, get the ball out quick. Unless it's one of those plays where you're taking a shot. When Notre Dame's playing, too deep the entire game and they're forcing you to take the things underneath, let's just recognize the defense and let's take what they're giving us right from the rip. Let's stop trying to make the home run play. Take what the defense gives us, make the read, make the throw. That's a little bit of what I saw.
Yeah. And I'm going to be completely honest. As of right now, I'm not super confident in CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, for that matter, in their transition to the NFL. I feel like both of these guys are going to end up being first round picks.
Oh, they for sure, both of them will be.
My gut feeling is that it's more of a second round pick caliber almost. And I know that's tough to say, and it's going to take time as we go through this NCAA football season to see how these guys progress and transition. But for me, it's a little bit more difficult to see them. And I'm almost a little bit more excited for some of the other quarterbacks out there, which we'll get into in the weeks going forward, as far as their transition, because I'm not saying Bryce Young and CJ Stroud can't be good NFL quarterbacks, but I do feel like they are going to need to sit for a year or two at least to transition that NFL game correctly. Bryce Young, will just bring up the stats again. Alabama is playing Utah State, so this was a blowout, 55-0. Yeah. But the stats here, stat line for, and real quick, CJ Stroud rushed 3 times for a total of 1 yard. So his rushing stats weren't that big. I'll throw in Bryce Young's rushing stats here as well, though. He was 18 of 28, 195 yards passing, 7-yard average with 5 touchdowns. All right. not a ton of yards, but a lot of touchdowns against a not very good team. Rushing, he had 5 carries for 100 yards. That's a 20-yard average and 1 touchdown. Those stats are a little bit inflated because he did have 1 run that was 63 yards. So obviously a good game for him, but it was like playing, a college team versus a high school JV at this point, kind of. Let's be real. So it'll be easier to kind of compare these two as we go forward, and they're both playing much better competition.
Right. We won't really know what we have until we see both these guys playing some probably conference competition. Now, Notre Dame they were ranked 5 in the country. I think a lot of people got overhyped seeing that the line was minus 17.5, thinking that Ohio State was just going to absolutely dog walk them. I think that played a little bit of a factor into some of the reactions that we saw, that maybe Ohio State's not as good as we thought. And maybe they're not. It's entirely possible. But Notre Dame is ranked 5. We will continue to grow and we'll move on and we'll see what happens. We're going to have big games against Wisconsin, Michigan. Iowa's always fucking tough. And then we'll randomly run into a Purdue team that decides they want to play that weekend. So it happens like once every fucking 4 or 5 years. It's Northwestern or Purdue's like, hey, you know what? We decided we're going to learn how to fucking play football this week.
I mean, do you play my Gophers at all this year? We had a big game, 38-0 versus New Mexico State.
I do not know. I don't know if we're if you guys are on our schedule this year or not.
Well, that was expected to be a cakewalk for the Gophers, and it sure as hell was. Jerry Kill, old former head coach, didn't leave the program in the best of ways. At least the split wasn't very nice, and he wasn't even sure if he was going to walk into the building. But I don't want to make this about me, but I don't know if I'm going to walk in the building. Well, he did, and he got his titties slapped around. Because we got a good running back there too, in Mo Ibrahim. He came back, or was coming back from a torn Achilles. He was having a phenomenal year last year at running back, and then tore his Achilles.
I remember watching
we weren't
that.
Sure. Weren't sure if he was going to be able to come back and be good. So far, so good. 21 carries, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns from Mo, and he had himself a nice little day there. So I'll keep my eyes on the Gophers.
Minnesota is not on our schedule this year, so
bummer. Well, maybe we'll see you in the playoffs.
Well, maybe. So before we talk about it, because I know we got to get there, we'll take a look at a couple other games. So number 3, right? We started Alabama, nice, easy cakewalk. Ohio State played Notre Dame, 5 versus 2, a tough game. Ohio State comes out with a dub. Then we get a 3 versus 11 matchup. This should be a really good game. Georgia, Oregon, like 2 decent programs. Georgia absolutely mopped the fucking floor with Oregon. Oregon never was in that game. It wasn't even close. I thought Georgia was going to have some struggles this year.
I mean, they lost,
especially on the defensive side of the ball.
They lost so many players, but that just goes to show you this program is insane.
Yeah. Georgia's legit again. Their quarterback, who is not recruited at all, is still a dude who can ball out anytime he needs to. Oregon has got a ton of work to do. They're going to run the Pac 12, 10, 8. How many fucking teams are in there? They're going to run the Pac, whatever the fuck it's going to be.
Not the correct number.
Yeah. But yeah, they're not at the level of competition as an SEC team. I think they would get dog walked this year, probably by some Big Ten teams. And this is a team that last year was able to knock off Ohio State. Either Georgia's really that good again, and we could be looking at back-to-back national titles, or Oregon lost some talent and they're going to need to do some work to rebuild. But I did not see this fucking 49-3 blowout coming. That's insane to me.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be that big, but they're starting to show that they have that potential, like an Alabama team, to be perennial, consistent, really fucking good. Like, this almost is better than college football team good.
Yeah, they got some fucking juice down there in Georgia. So, looking elsewhere, so those are those top 3 teams. big surprise to me because I thought this team would suck. Florida comes out,
Yeah.
knocks off number 7 Utah. Did not expect that. Utah played us very tough last year. Florida has not been very good as of late. I mean, they're okay. I expect them to be somewhere, 7-5, 8-4 in that range. That's kind of where they always kind of middle around. But they come out and get a statement win against Utah, and I'm a little shocked. I expected Utah to contend for one of those playoff spots, one of those 4 playoff spots that we currently still have.
Yeah. Well, look, we've talked about this a little bit last year, and I think, again, this is going to be part of the conversation of quarterbacks for this upcoming draft. Anthony Richardson, AR-15, is the quarterback for the Gators. He is definitely that dual threat guy, and when he's passing, is definitely boom or bust for him. He's the big body kind of guy, and I think that he is possibly going to go into the draft this year. So he's someone to watch for. He was 17-24, 168 yards with a 7-yard average, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Not a lot to write about there, but I mean, with his legs, he looked real good. 11 carries, 106 yards, and 3 touchdowns, 9.6 yard average. So he's definitely that dual threat kind of guy to be watching this year. And he's not like a Kyler Murray dual threat where he's a small guy that's able to get around all these.
No, he's like
bodies.
6'1", right?
He might even be bigger. I don't know. Either way, maybe people are not paying attention or enough attention to the Gators. He's 6'4", 232.
Oh, damn. He's way bigger than I thought.
Yeah. So he's definitely one of those names. I don't know. I feel like, and this is way too early for it, but in my gut, I feel like he's one of those guys that's going to be seen consistently outside of the first round as an NFL draft prospect. And then people are going to talk him up a lot more in the offseason and be like, hey, this is a Lamar Jackson type of guy. Lamar Jackson doesn't need to pass that much in the NFL and use his legs, and he can do stuff, and he's explosive, and he might work himself up into the back end of the first round, just like Lamar Jackson. And he's going to be one of those dual threat type of guys, possibly. It'll be interesting to watch. Also, running the ball for the Gators, you have Trevor Etienne, who I'm assuming is related to the other Etienne, who is now in the NFL. And he had himself a pretty good day. 5 rushes, 64 yards rushing, and then only 2 receptions for 9 yards. Maybe not as good as,
maybe not a dual threat like his brother.
But maybe people are sleeping a little bit on this Gators team because it was a very mixed bag in the past year or so. But I mean, they might find themselves in the ranking here for too long.
I mean, I know I got some buddies. I'm in a football pool every week. That massive Gator fans. They were very, very excited. I was very surprised. Did not get that win. So, I mean, I would like to see another team pop in there. Maybe be a thorn in the side of Georgia and Bama. I mean, obviously they're going to have Texas A&M to contend with as well. Looks like they're going to be very good. But, I mean, an additional team who goes out and does some things is good. I mean, I like those, especially those little no-name prospects, which we're going to bring up when we get to the NFL. Guys that kind of show up out of nowhere. 7th round pick, get drafted. Probably should start. Evo knows exactly who he's talking about. But all right, before we get on to that,
I'm not willing to go that far yet.
Okay,
we'll see.
So a couple other games here. Arkansas getting Cincinnati, close game. Cincinnati's gonna struggle this year, man. I mean, they don't have the quarterback play. I mean, their dude Ritter gone. I love Luke Fickell. I love the way he coaches. I love his energy. Cincinnati's not one of those reload programs. They're going to be decent. They'll probably win. What the fuck are they? The Atlantic? What the fuck division are they in, anyways? American? Cincinnati.
You got me.
The AAC, the American Athletic Conference. I feel like that's right. I'm going to go with that's right until I'm proven otherwise. They fall to Arkansas 24-31. SEC Came out really strong in the first week. That is not going to quiet the noise that the SEC is the best conference, which annoys the shit out of me. But those boys know how to play football, so I'm going to give it to them. But an interesting thing happened last night involving former Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly and that LSU team that I thought was going to be pretty good with Brian Kelly there. They lose a game that they should not have lost, in my opinion.
To Florida State.
I didn't think Florida State was very good.
Who was real bad last year.
Real bad last year, and I don't think they're that good this year. But Brian Kelly does not get his tenure started off in the right fashion. That LSU team has to crawl back into that game that they probably had no point of being in. And they score what could be the game-tying touchdown. And then you can't block a fucking extra point. Like, I know a lot of teams maybe don't spend as much time on special teams as they should. I bet you LSU's kicking fuck tons of field goals this week. You got an extra point blocked to lose you the game. No time left on the clock. You score the touchdown. All you got to do is kick the extra point. You're going to overtime. I don't feel bad for Brian Kelly. I feel bad for LSU fans. I think making this move was a really, really bad decision. I don't think Brian Kelly is a good coach. I didn't like him at Cincinnati. I didn't like him at Notre Dame. I don't like him here. I would have kept old Mushmouth down there in LSU and let him ride. Yeah, exactly. I don't get the move, and I'm not sorry that Brian Kelly lost. I am not. He's not a good dude. I don't think he's that good of a coach either. And I think LSU's about to find that out.
It's real interesting to watch LSU go through this, where they've always been one of those good teams that's able to compete with Alabama and things like that, and then they've just really hardcore dropped out the map. After this loss, a bunch of their big name guys started unfollowing and unassociating on Twitter with the team, which is it's like an NFL thing that you see. It's like when a player is signaling that they might be available or going to another team. I mean, we've had Lamar Jackson liking pictures of him in other uniforms and stuff like that, pictures that people have made, bringing up questions as his own negotiator in his contracts. You know, he's going to start doing these little things on the side to be like, yeah, maybe I would look good in a Dolphins uniform or something like that to kind of pressure his team. Are we starting to see that now? Especially with, all of these money deals and stuff that players can get in college now.
Yep.
Are we starting to see the same sort of thing happen where it transcends a little bit into social media? They're starting to drop the LSU Tigers off their social media, being like, yeah, maybe I'll enter the transfer portal because what the fuck is this? We just lost to Florida State.
Yeah, and
it's an interesting landscape.
It's going to happen. So social media is going to be a massive part of, especially with all these NIL deals. And it doesn't surprise me to see these kinds of things happen. We're talking about kids, right? Kids can be very rational or irrational with their decisions. They'll change on a whim. But I don't blame them because I do not like the direction that LSU is going to go. They come off of having Joey Burrow and winning a national title. They have a down year after you lose the Heisman winner and the number one draft pick, and you have a down year. What is to be expected? I mean, okay, so LSU is pretty good, right? They're also not a reload program. They're not like an Alabama. They're not a Georgia. They're not an Ohio State. They are a very good quality program, but they're not just going to pull in fuck tons of talent like some of these other schools are. And then you have one down year and you fire your fucking coach to bring in a guy who has won nothing at any college he's been at.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I do not understand.
Yeah, it'll be weird. You think that they would ever backtrack and try to get old Ed back in there at some point in time if things just continue
I hope
to go
Ed
bad for a couple
Orgeron
years?
goes. I hope Ed Orgeron goes. No, I don't want to say that. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't want to say it. I hope he goes to Alabama, the coaches reclamation project. And fucking Nick Saban coaches
To go
him up.
under Saban?
Go under Saban.
Oh, that
go
would
into the
happen.
coaches reclamation project because that's what happens. Coaches that get fired, they go to Alabama. Saban rehabilitates them, and they go on and they have success somewhere else.
Oh,
I don't want that to happen.
I don't
I
see him.
like Coach Ed. I love Coach Ed, but man, that would make a lot of sense, especially you get back at LSU for firing your ass when they shouldn't have.
I don't know that you end up seeing him. I don't know that those personalities would work together.
I don't think that would either. I would love to see an argument between those two, though. I'd watch that.
Could only understand half of the argument. You got Creole being slung one way, and the Alabama
politician
class,
the other way.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting argument for sure.
Yeah, but we had to bring it up. I'm sorry to LSU fans. I have no disrespect for LSU, their fan base. It's a really good school, good college, good kids down there. I don't understand the decision to bring in Brian Kelly. I do not like Brian Kelly, and that is somebody I have no problem actively burying on the show because he's not a good coach. But okay, we got anything else on college football? Anything that you saw college football wise that you want to talk about before we move on to the NFL?
No, not really. It's just if you do want to watch some football today, you have a game tonight between Clemson and Georgia Tech. So
I got Georgia Tech. I got Georgia Tech plus the 21.5, I think is what they were.
I don't know what it is. There was when you were looking at it. It's right now Clemson minus 24. So with an over and under of 50.5.
I think Georgia Tech keeps it closer than that for sure. So guys, guess what? It's fucking football season. So that means you're going to start getting some bets, start getting some lines to start taking from us. I already put one out and it paid West Virginia on the cover. I thought West Virginia was going to win. They did not, but I did not say take the money line. I said go hit the super boost over on FanDuel plus 7.5. They lost by 7. I thought they were going to win that thing, but first bet of the year that I put out on social, made money. I know Dave bet it. So guys, if you like sports betting, if you're in a legal state to sports bet, or you know somebody who is in a legal state who could place those bets for you, follow along with us. We're going to be giving you bets all year long. I'm going to be using Evo and Dave probably as my bookie, and it's legal because they're not going to take a vig.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to the NFL.
Okay.
So it's finally here. We are fucking 3 days away from the NFL kickoff, and I am so fucking excited. We have a fantastic game for the first game of the season, and I am very interested to see the way all of this shakes out, because we got some teams that we think are going to either be in the Super Bowl, who just recently won the Super Bowl, starting off Bills and Rams, or should we save our picks until the end and we'll hit some storylines?
I mean, I'm good with us going into this Thursday night game right now, and we can hit up the storylines in between. Now we are going to have another show coming weekend here on Saturday. We'll probably get pretty deep here into all of the matchups on Sunday and how we think it's going to go. That really should be our season preview along with the week 1 preview for football. That's where we'll give our, couple predictions for the entire year, the tangible predictions to see how we actually grade out. If anyone else wants to throw in predictions on Saturday, so just under a week here, they'll be able to do that in the comments. We can kind of keep them tracked for you and stuff like that. I am ready at this point to go over this Thursday night matchup, our stories, and then even go as far into maybe a little titch of fantasy football, because Mike and I do have a fantasy football draft just after the show today. I don't want to give away too much of what's going to be happening. And I really wish that we could give you a good fantasy football show of hey, this is idea concepts for drafting and things like that. And maybe we'll get into that a little bit next week. But I'm willing to start projections for my team and for your team for the year today, if you want to. I got a record in mind.
Okay. So I've been thinking about mine. I have not locked it down, but I guarantee I can do that real quick. But let's talk about this Thursday night game. This is going to be one of the biggest matchups of the year, I think. Based on some of the things that I have seen.
maybe second biggest. I'm waiting for Buffalo and Kansas City. Because if it's anything like the playoffs last year, that is going to be gangbusters.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a good match. This is going to be a good match. This absolutely could be our Super Bowl match.
Defending Super Bowl champs going up against teams that Evo and I think are both got picked to go to the Super Bowl. And it will be very interesting to see how injuries play a factor for this Rams team. They're getting some guys back. Cam Akers is fully back, fully healthy, going to be really good. But they're going against a fucking vaunted Bills defensive line and really good fucking linebackers, and they add in a Von Miller. I think that the Bills are going to get the better of this game. I think that Von Miller added to that Bills team is going to create a lot of pressure on the outside, on the edges, and the Rams lose one of the best tackles in football and Whitworth. So I think we'll see a lot of pressures. Seeing if Stafford can hold up and throw the ball because he was dealing with that elbow injury. They say he's 100% good to go.
I don't believe that shit.
I don't either.
If it's out there, it's being reported. You're not going to put out an elbow injury to get people thinking about is it real or is it not as early as they did. And then you're not going to come out here in the past, 24 hours or whatever it is and say, yeah, his elbow is actually fine now. Like, I think that's a bit of a smoke show. He's probably got something going on with that elbow. He's an older dude.
Played a lot of football last year. Played more football than damn near anybody else.
Yeah, so it's very possible that elbow is going to be a factor. If not in this game, it'll be a factor sometime this season. I'd be willing to bet. So that scares me a little bit.
Yeah, well, and that's something that Aaron Rodgers has talked about, not doing anything in the offseason to make sure his arm is fresh for a run when it gets down to the end of the year. I'm not sure that Stafford had the break this year a little bit because he was already dealing with that elbow thing. I think we're gonna see it crop up a little bit, and that is bad for them. I'm excited to see their wide receiver group, the way they all mesh together. But I got Bills. I think pressure is going to be a huge factor. They're going to have to be able to run the ball with Cam Akers to really make this, to give them a chance to win this game. But I got the Bills, and I think I got them by probably a tud.
Yeah, it's the Bills for me. That's still my Super Bowl team. All right. The only question for me is I feel great about their defense. Like, I'm not concerned about the Bills defense at all. Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, Von Miller along that line. And then back behind him, you got Boogie Basham and AJ Epineza. Like, you've got, and Jordan Phillips, draft pick. They've got a really strong defensive line. It all starts in the trenches. This is the Lineman Lounge. We know it starts in the trenches for these teams, right? Mm-hmm. And then you still have Tremaine Edmonds. You've got Matt Milano. You've got your Kyer Elam, high draft pick this year, who I love. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. You have studs all across this defense. I'm not worried about that. The offense for the Bills also has a lot of studs. Obviously, we don't need to talk a lot about Josh Allen because we know he's awesome, right? Yeah. You've got Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. Now, I think Isaiah McKenzie's a good third receiver. I wish that they would have maybe added like one more stud there. Would have been fantastic to really open up that passing attack. But because they didn't do that, I look at the rushing attack and say, okay, is this good enough? Now, Devin Singletary definitely looked good towards the end of the year, but he's never been like that guy. He's never been able to stay completely healthy. They did bring in a James Cook, but James Cook, the younger brother of Dalvin Cook, I like him, but I like him much more as a receiving back. He does not seem like a between the tackles runner as much, especially because I tried to work myself into him in the draft process. He doesn't seem he's a platoon guy, or a receiving back to me right now, and that's why I've been banging the table so much for if the Browns are going to get rid of Kareem Hunt. This is the destination I want to see him go to because this is the team I think can win the Super Bowl, and I want them to have that sort of star-studded power. I really like Kareem Hunt. Why not go to the Super Bowl team, right? And the offensive line doesn't seem like it's a problem. A lot of good names on there. David Kessenberry, Ryan Bates, Mitch Morse, Roger Saffold, and Deion Dawkins. They got a solid offensive line, all right? I think that the only questions for me on this Bills team is, should they have added another receiver to really go full into being that big time passing team? Or, and what I would prefer is for them to add a more competent 3-down running back that can be supplemented by Cook and Singletary. And it's possible, if this game doesn't go well and the defense from the Rams is able to shut down the passing attack, and they need more of that rushing attack, and we're not seeing it as much, maybe it's possible then they'll go out and pull the trigger on a guy like a Kareem Hunt, because there are running backs out there that are available that are kind of floated around. I mean, Alexander Madison, if they really want to, from my Vikings, I don't know that that'll happen. But that's my only question with this Bills team. But even those questions, like, I'm kind of almost having to like search and mine away for these questions. I think top to bottom, they're just a fucking outstanding team. And yeah, Rams are good, but I mean, it was a closer game in the Super Bowl. People know what they are. People know what to expect now. They know that Matthew Stafford is the real deal, but he's aging. I'm not sold. I think that they are going to be one of the better teams in the NFC, but I just think the Bills are top to bottom a better team. I think that they could easily win this game by a touchdown. If let's see here, what's the
2.5? I just pulled up the lines. Buffalo minus 2.5. I got Buffalo covering that for sure.
Yeah. I was gonna say if it's closer to 6, that's where I'm gonna start to think about it. But yeah, 2.5. I'm still taking the Bills on that.
I think I got the Bills by a tud. So the cover there minus 2.5 is easy, especially since it's 2 and a hook. I mean, I think they'll for sure win. They'll win by 3. I could see them winning by 3. I think it's as much as a tud though. So 6, I would still take the Bills to cover 6. 7 is where I think it is.
Yep. All right. Well, you want to get into any of these other NFL storylines?
Yeah. Let's start diving in on this.
All righty.
Oh, hang on. I got children's. Well, okay. Show me. Oh, you got a badge. Are you a cop now? That's awesome. Hey, I'm doing my podcast. Can you go with mommy? Yeah. You want to say hi to Evo?
Hi, Evo. Hi.
Come here.
Hi, Evo.
Hey, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
You doing?
How are you doing?
How you doing?
How are you?
How you doing?
Yeah. All right, baby. Love you. Go with mommy.
Sorry.
No, you're good. All right. Well, if you guys didn't know, yep, I got a slew of kids, and they just got home from the fair. So,
ooh,
yeah. Amber texted me like, "Do you want to put our kids in 4-H and let them raise animals and shit?" I was like, "No, I don't.
Nah, they are animals. They are the animals. They raise themselves.
Yeah, not doing that. 4-H is a great program, but my hellions are not doing it because that's so much work, and yeah, like you said, they're fucking animals themselves." But all right, where the hell were we going? We were going into the NFL storylines, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So big one right off the top. I don't think that we got a chance to talk about it. I think this news came out a little later, and I know our guy Joe Rockstar is happy, but I'm also intrigued about this decision. Jimmy Garoppolo staying in San Francisco on a new restructured deal. He's got some guaranteed money now because his entire contract was not guaranteed before. And there's a lot of incentives based on playing time available for Jimmy G. When I saw this, I saw a lot of 49ers fans saying, "Oh, this is good because, he's less money." But this, if I'm a Niners fan, this makes me very, very worried. Why are we holding on to Jimmy G if Trey Lance is our guy? If we know that Trey Lance is our guy, to me, it looks a lot like hedging. I'm not sure they're sold on Trey, so they're keeping Jimmy. So if he falters, Jimmy can come in, and if he does falter, the screams from the stands are going to get very fucking loud, and they're going to happen very quickly for a team that was just in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, it's real interesting. There was the talk that Jimmy might have actually held off on his surgery a little bit longer to push like a potential situation like this. I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like it's more of a detriment to Jimmy than anything. Because yeah, the 49ers now have a true solid backup quarterback. If Lance doesn't look the part, Jimmy steps in, and maybe they end up signing him to a long-term deal and moving Trey Lance based off potential or something like that. Maybe that's where the 49ers are coming from. But either way, it gives the 49ers lots of options. The worst case scenario is that, Jimmy has to come in and play, and now the fan base kind of turns against Trey Lance, and maybe starts to not necessarily turn against management, because if they're playing Jimmy G, then they're not going to turn against management at this point. They're just going to be calling for Jimmy G, and you kind of got to run with that at that point then, right? That's worst case, but that's a wealth of quarterbacks is riches. That's awesome. It gives, the front office a lot to work with. For Jimmy, he had the potential to make a lot more money elsewhere. If he was able to go play there. And yes, this contract restructure is giving him some guarantees, but there was already a lot of question marks with him. Yes, he wins a lot of games, but he isn't the guy that is going out and winning you games.
Right.
These questions, when they sit and stew for a year on the bench, they don't get better. So
no, they don't.
I still think that there's a possibility. And did they keep a third quarterback on the team? Do you know?
I do not know. I'd have to look it up.
I'm sure if they didn't keep a third on the roster, they've got a third on the practice squad, and their backup quarterbacks are solid backups. I still think that we can see a catastrophic injury in the first 6 weeks to another quarterback, and Jimmy's going to be number one on the call list. I mean, with that, the restructure of that contract and stuff like that, that still could possibly happen. So
it looks like they kept Nate Sudfeld.
Okay. Which he's been, a backup for them for a while. I still think that that's an option. It just kind of seems like Jimmy G's wasting some of his years just by sitting on the bench there.
Yeah, I didn't understand the move for Jimmy. Now, guaranteed money is better than non-guaranteed money. Anytime you can get guaranteed money, that's good. What interested me the most was the amount of incentives he has for playing time. He can get up to 16 mil if he's playing. You don't give that kind of money to a guy unless there's a decent chance that you're going to see him playing on Sundays. Like, why would Jimmy take that contract unless he knows that there's a chance that he's going to be playing? It doesn't make sense in terms of, total money for him to stay there, ride the bench, unless he thinks that there is a chance that he is going to be playing. And that incentive-laden contract kind of leads me to believe that's exactly what he thinks. So
yeah, he's got to think that he's been around Lance long enough to know if he can make it or not. I mean, Jimmy's seen the best in Tom Brady. Lance is a different quarterback for sure, but Jimmy's got to feel good enough about himself to think that, I can go out here, I can start playing again pretty quick and earn those incentives, I guess. But I don't know. The whole deal doesn't feel great to me, but I guess that if that's the way they want to go, that's the way they want to go. I mean, I would have tried to turn Jimmy around for a second or something like that somewhere. I feel like somebody would
have given up a second for him too, I think. Now, I think people are worried a little bit about his medicals coming off the shoulder, but I think you could have got, and there's still a possibility that they can get. I mean, trade deadline is what, week 6 or is it week 8?
I believe it's around week 6, but I'm not sure.
6. So there's plenty of time for Jimmy to have a chance to be traded still, especially if we see one of those, catastrophic injuries. So I think the Niners are hedging. I think they're worried about Trey, which is not a great look.
Yeah. Trade deadline is November 1st. It is the Tuesday following week 8.
Week 8. Okay. All right. Anything else on Jimmy and the Niners?
No, sir.
All right. We're going to talk about something that I find kind of interesting that shouldn't be a football storyline, but based on who we're talking about, it is. Tom Brady. Tom Brady was away from camp for a very, very long time. Maybe he was doing Dancing with the Stars. Maybe he had a family emergency. Maybe he was, that was it. Masked Singer. Maybe he was allowing his face time to heal from all the plastic surgery that he got done. Those injections. Did you see the press conference? Did you see the way Tom looks?
I didn't think it necessarily looked like he got filler and stuff like that. He looked fucking exhausted.
Yeah, he did look really tired.
Like he had family
looks like he's
time.
fucking 45.
Yeah, he had family time and was around all those fucking kids and stuff like that, and just probably looked like he looked like the dad that just got done with a 16-hour road trip. And it's like, God damn it. Now I gotta go back to work. Like,
yeah, I've been there, so I know that look. I know that feeling as well.
And I mean, there's a bunch of rumors out there too that maybe him and Giselle are going through something. So maybe he's struggling with that.
I mean, I don't know, but it was a weird press conference. He looked different. He looked
haggard.
Yeah, he looked tired as fuck. I'm glad we haven't made our predictions yet because I'm starting to hedge on my my pick for the Bucks back in the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, Tom can go out and ball out like Tom has done several times, several years. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Though, right? He's done. He's for sure done after this. And Max Kellerman, he's still not going to fall off a cliff. He's still Tom Brady. He's still going to go out there and put up better numbers than half the league. If we consider that falling off, then bring me a guy who's fell off to Cleveland, please, for fuck's sake. I thought it was very interesting the way all that went down with him coming back, and then the rumors going around what was going on with Tom and possible face fillers or things like that. All right,
yeah, he definitely looked different, but to me, it looked just more like, I had this vacation plan with my kids and I had to go and I'm fucking exhausted because it's easier being around a whole bunch of grown ass fucking men who are wanting to kill each other than these little heathens.
Yeah. All right. So elsewhere in the NFL, we kind of alluded to this earlier. Lamar Jackson still doesn't have a contract, and Lamar Jackson is negotiating his own contract. And it seems like Lamar might be negotiating this contract through social media. He's going to be looking for Deshaun Watson money. We've seen some deals get done this offseason
Russ Wilson,
Kyler Murray, that are like Deshaun money. They're not fully guaranteed, but they're Deshaun money. How do we feel about this contract situation? Is it going to work out for Lamar? Because I like the idea of players negotiating their own contracts if they can do a good job at it. I worry sometimes guys think they can do it and they kind of screw themselves. But we have seen some guys do their own deals, bet on themselves, and absolutely crush exactly what they said they were going to do and get that full amount of money in their deal. I like the idea of taking the ownership, but I worry that based on the type of player he is and the organization he's dealing with, this is not going to work out in Lamar's favor, which then in turn works out for the Browns' favor.
You know, so I haven't actually really been a fan of players negotiating on their own. When you're talking about these sorts of multi-million-dollar contracts, it's the legalese involved with them is so far above most people's heads. You have people who have, master's degrees handling this sort of shit for you. It's why you pay an agent. The player being involved in that process heavily, I like a lot more. That's there. You have the players who are like, hey, my agent's negotiating the contract for me. Just going to let them deal with it. That's fine. Whatever. As long as you trust that agent. The players who are like, I'm going to go out and do this all on my own. I feel like more often than not, it doesn't necessarily work in their benefit. Easiest thing for me is Latrell Sprewell in the NBA. And he, turned down, a $20-something million deal and never played again in the league because he was negotiating for himself. But in Lamar's case, with the sort of money and everything that is going to be involved, I don't know that he was a finance major at Louisville. It's like
I don't know.
you definitely need to have your agent in there, your money guy, and let them not necessarily take a back seat, but let them be your coach in the corner while you're the boxer out there in the ring going after what you want. That as long as you've got that guy with you, you can represent yourself, but you got to have someone with the knowledge of what's going on there in your corner with you. And so hopefully that is what's happening. Look, we kind of talked about this before. I don't see any way that the Ravens don't give him a monster deal, but I do like their backups. I think that they can get by with that. And you're going to see how, I mean, we see it all the time where the quarterbacks get these massive deals and it starts being a big time detriment to the team. I don't remember the exact number, but it's something like any team that has paid their quarterback more than 16% of their cap has never made the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's something along those lines. And
I thought the number was lower. I thought it was like 12.5 was the max.
It might be. We haven't talked about this since, in a while, but it's there is a disparity number there. And I've always thought that the players deserve their money and stuff like that. But when you start getting into these guaranteed money deals, I think it'd be really fucking cool for a guy to come out and be like, oh, like so-and-so just got paid $220 million guaranteed for 5 years. Tell you what, $150 million guaranteed. That's fuck you money for 5 years. Yeah. I'll take it. You put the best goddamn team around me, though.
If I say I want a guy, I fucking want the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some control with the personnel.
Like that clause gets worked into my contract. I get one guaranteed. I want him this year for the next 5 years because that's the money that would have been going towards me. I want that guy on my team so I can get Super Bowls because those Super Bowls and that airtime, that's going to earn me more incentives outside of football through sponsorships and things like that. And that's going to make players want to come play for that quarterback and that team because they're going to be like, I want to be best buddies with Lamar or whoever it is now because maybe he'll make me the one guy. That's my poison. I want that guy. Maybe
my
I'll be
contract's
that guy.
up and I want
something like
that.
Yeah. Like that's the fucking cool shit that I would like to see. Don't get me wrong. The difference between 150 million and 220 million guaranteed is insane.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's almost going to be a drop in the bucket for these guys if they reach their potential. Not going to happen with Lamar. I'm sure the Ravens will work something out with Lamar where he is the highest paid quarterback in the league. I don't know that he's deserving of that. Go ahead, send him to Miami or wherever, and work
send
with
him
those,
to the NFC, please.
Work with those backup quarterbacks because I think you got something there.
They do have something there. I like the backup a lot. And the Ravens they're not typically one to give into these types of these pressure situations from players, especially when it comes to contracts. They're also not in a great cap space, so doing that type of deal really hurts them, which again helps the Browns because if they're in cap hell, I'm okay with that because they can't bring in new guys. So yeah, I am all for them paying Deshaun $400 million guaranteed. I mean, it's not going to happen. I worry for Deshaun, not Jesus Christ, Lamar's sake that that something is going to happen. He's not going to have a deal done, and then we're going to run into a situation where he's trying to find a spot. I even as a Browns fan, I never root for injuries, but he needs to get a deal done at some situation. Point. Yeah,
he needs to get a deal done. He blows his knee out because he's a running quarterback. Your value just tanked.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Dak still got himself a good contract for what he's worth, but not like what it was going to be before. And Lamar, even more so, is a running quarterback. Like his legs matter more.
Yeah, and he needs to get a deal. He needs to get it quick, or they got to figure out a trade situation. They're not going to trade him this year. If he plays this year, plays healthy, and they can't come to an agreement, they're going to franchise him, and then they'll work on a new deal or possibly a fucking trade. Or we could see a Kirk Cousins situation where he gets franchised twice, which is awful for Lamar. I mean, it's guaranteed money, but it's not good for Lamar long term in his career. So,
Yeah.
not sure who
Well,
this is, but we'll pop it up there. Andres Adame. What's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
howdy. All right.
Howdy.
So, you got any other stories that you want to talk about, or you want to get into what you think is going to happen with your Brownies overall this season?
I don't think so. We got Lamar. I mean,
Jason Peters is signed to the Cowboys practice squad to replace Smith.
I'll worry about that when Jason Peters is not on the practice squad. And
I mean, Jason Peters honestly hasn't looked great the past couple of years. He's very, very old, but they need to put someone out there. So, I mean, I guess it's an option.
Yeah, I mean,
and it is telling. It is telling that he's going straight to the practice squad.
Yeah,
he's not in football shape
right now. That's a non-story when he starts playing for them, because Tyron hasn't made it back or is trying to come back too quick. Then I think that's more of a story. But I mean, good for him getting another kind of deal, being on a practice squad, still being in the NFL, hanging around for as long as he can. I got tons of respect for that shit. Like, if you can still get paid, go get your fucking money. Like, I don't care if it's practice squad or not.
Yeah, but he's like, what, fucking 38, 40 years old?
Yeah, he's old for a tackle.
Retire,
I mean, we saw Andre Whitworth do it, but Andre Whitworth was still top of the game.
Yeah, just take your money. You made a lot of it, man. Like, enjoy time in the rest of your life and with your family at that point.
Yeah.
Ain't no reason to go to a rival in the Cowboys to maybe be making a pittance, you know? Like, he's got to be making vet minimum.
Probably.
So,
probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, I got nothing else on the storyline stuff. You got anything else?
No, sir.
I got kids freaking out. Hey, girls.
All that fair food.
I know. We got candy, and we're just hype right now.
Hell yeah.
Producer Amber laying down the law. Get out here.
Yo.
All right. So yeah, I'm good on that, and we'll slide over into some predictions. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Doesn't matter to me, man. I know you said that you want to take some time to get a number here, an idea of what's going on. I've got my best case scenario for the Vikings, which I'm bullish on them right now. I'm bullish on them at the beginning of every year, because quite honestly, the back half of our schedule looks pretty nice. We have one of the better schedules in the NFL this year. And it's an NFC where there's a lot of questions. So I absolutely think that we could be, a playoff team this year. So right now, week 1, we're playing the Packers. I guess it ruined it for this upcoming Saturday show, but we were playing them at US Bank Stadium. We're playing them at home. Kirk Cousins has a positive win record against the Packers. We're going to beat the Packers week 1 at home because they don't know who they're going against. We haven't shown our offensive playbook in the preseason games, anything like that. I am all about the Vikings winning week 1 versus the Packers. All right. Week 2, Eagles win. I'm not. This is going to be tough. I'm
very bullish on this. The Eagles are going to be really good. I think
the Eagles are going to be a good team, but I think that we got what it takes to beat them. All right, Detroit win. I
love MCDC, but I also got you guys going to get
absolutely. Don't worry, I got the Lions getting one on us later. It's all right. Win versus the Saints. I do think that they're going to be a good team too. But I'm not convinced about Jameis. I'm not convinced about Michael Thomas yet. And I'm not convinced about their head coach, Dennis Allen. All right. Also, this Saints game, it is being played in across the pond. And we've won all those games that we played so far. We play well overseas. All right. Next, Bears, basically a bye week. Win.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
All right. And then the Dolphins, I don't trust Tua, win. All right. We go into our bye week at week 7 being 6-0. And again, best case scenario, I think, for the team. All right. Next, playing the Cardinals.
You guys could drop 2 of those, the first 2.
For sure. Not the Packers. Fuck them. Week 8, Arizona at home. Win. We almost beat them last year. We're a better team this year. Arizona did not get better this offseason, in my opinion. We barely lost to them based on a field goal last year in Arizona. Now we're playing them at the bank. That's a fucking win. All right. Then we're playing the Commies. Fucking win. Carson Wentz. He's no good. I don't trust that team. It's a fucking win. All right. Then we get our first loss at the Bills. All right. Bills are going to the Super Bowl. They're going to win the Super Bowl. All right. Not a bad run. 9-0 to now 9-1.
Okay.
I'm happy
All
with
right.
it. All right.
I see a trend building here.
All right. Then we're playing the Cowboys. Fucking win.
Win.
They don't have an offensive line. We've got great edge rushers. And I don't think Trevon Diggs is going to be able to be what everyone thinks in Dallas that he is. He's an interception machine, but he lets everyone bully him. And Kirk Cousins doesn't throw interceptions. His stats last year, if I threw them up on the screen, it'd say, are these Aaron Rodgers stats or are these Kirk Cousins stats? Well, they're Kirk Cousins stats. He actually had phenomenal stats. Very few interceptions. Not going to be a problem. It's a fucking win. All right. New England. Win. I don't like the Patriots this year. I think they're going to have a down year. I think they're going to be around a 500 team, honestly. Like, their defense is always going to be good. I don't think the offense is anything to write home about. All right. And then we're playing the Jets. Fucking win. It's the Jets, right? And then we're getting in the easy part of the year, and we went 6-0 to start off the year. It's a fucking win versus the Jets. Who knows if the MILF Hunter is going to be back in there or not? Doesn't fucking matter. It's a fucking win. Then we play.
He's not very good anyways.
We're playing the Lions at Detroit. Motor City. Dan Campbell gets his win there. All right. I will let Detroit have this one because, I like the Hard Knock show. All right.
Yeah.
Then we're playing the Colts. They're going to be a very good team in the AFC this year. I project them to go pretty deep into the playoffs. And this is a fucking loss. It's a loss.
Oh, really? Oh, no. I was ready for win.
Right? This is a loss to the Colts. All right. I'm willing to call this one a loss. All right. But then we're going to be playing the Giants next week. And that's a fucking resounding win. All right. It's the Giants. They are going to probably be bottom 5, if not bottom 3 team in the league this year. No problem versus the Giants there. All right. Next, we play the Packers again. All right. We are going to be resting our starters because we got so many fucking wins 2 weeks before the playoffs. Then the Packers are going to be out of it. So we're going to let the Packers get a win here in Green Bay. It's tough going to Lambeau this time of year. And so I'll chalk this one up as a loss, but it's going to be a close game. Our backups are almost going to beat them. And then we play the Bears again. And one of my predictions is probably bottom 2 in the league. This is a fucking win for the Vikings versus the Bears because the Bears suck balls. They've taken 2 of our guys who were potential starters or rotation players that we cut this past week when we had the cut downs. And they're going to be starting on this team in Armin Watts, starting defensive end. I'm sure he's going to be starting for them because he was going to be starting for us. And then Amir Smith-Marset, who I really, really liked, is our number 4. And I thought that given another year or 2, once Thielen retires, that ISM actually could very easily move into that number 2 receiver role next to Justin Jefferson. I think he steps in immediately next to Darnell Mooney and is their number 2 receiver. All right. I think it sucks that we lost ISM and we got rid of ISM because we brought in Jalen Reagor. That's an interesting project. All right. I'm trying to work myself around it.
I was so excited when I saw it come across the line.
I was pissed. But, to completely honest, I am not happy with that trade because we gave up more than the Browns gave up for Amari Cooper.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Dallas.
But we didn't give up very much in the end still. We brought Jalen Reagor in to be a punt returner, and Philly has been a terrible situation as far as the quarterback situation. Jalen Reagor has had injuries and stuff like that. In Reagor's first year, he didn't even play a full year, but as a punt returner, he was 6th in the league at punt returns. He had 2 muffed punts in the playoff game last year, and that's the recency bias towards his punt returning, is that maybe he has those issues there. But there's obviously some talent there. Wide receivers tend to break out in year 3. This is year 3 for him. And he doesn't have to come in and be that number 1 pick anymore. He gets time to learn from a phenomenal wide receiver coach in Keenan McCardell. He has a solid quarterback in Kirk Cousins. It is no longer just, is Jefferson or Rager going to be better? We know who's better, but Rager has the opportunity to develop, and maybe he can become a number 3 guy, a number 2 guy sometime going forward. It's a very low risk type of move. I personally would have liked to have stuck it out with ISM and find someone else out on the waiver wire that has got punt return capability if we were really worried about that. Either way, that's my view on the Rager trade. But my win-loss prediction here for the Vikings is a resounding 13-4 if everything goes as well. Now, I do think that, I like I said, very bullish on this. I'm very bullish on it. I could see this happening, but Philly's going to be a fucking tough test. They are going to be a tough test. All right. Green Bay is always a tough test, but I do think that we can have their number week 1, especially playing at the bank. We play them very good at home. Miami, if the Tyreek Hill situation works out there and Mike McDaniels is able to work some magic, and I do think Mike McDaniels is a good coach and that he can actually squeeze out everything out of Tua, that could be a tough game. Arizona, like I said, we played them very close last year. They're a good team, but I don't think that they did anything to upgrade themselves this year. So that's one that could be a little bit nitpicky. But, Buffalo, Buffalo's a fucking phenomenal team. If we beat Buffalo, I will be back on here slamming the win button again, like for the rest of the fucking year. 13-4, I think is probably best case scenario. I know that's very bullish. I think 10-11 wins is absolutely within the possibility or realm of possibility for this team. And that to me is enough to win you the NFC North. So I'm super excited for the start of the football season next weekend, especially September 11th at US Bank Stadium for that Vikings-Packers game. If we're able to put that mushroom stamp on the beginning of the season for Aaron Rodgers and that team, I will be elated. I already put money on it. I already bet money on it. So,
all right, let's stop sharing that. Okay, so you got your boys going 13-4. That is a big ask. I think it's gonna. I can see 11. I can see 11 for sure. And I think 11. I think 11 will get you possibly the AFC North. I think the Packers are taking a step back. They don't have enough. NFC North. They don't have enough juice on offense.
Yeah, they ain't corn. They ain't got the juice.
Yeah. All right. So that takes us to my guys. Where the hell? There we go. Toss this back up there. It's fucking tough to see. All right, so Browns, we're going to have a very interesting year. There's going to be a lot of changes with this team throughout the season, and I have no idea how some of this shit is going to shake out. Got one starting quarterback for at least the first 11. We have the best stable of running backs in the NFL. Maybe, assuming we don't trade one, even if we do, we're still pretty good there. So starting right from the rip, game 1, we're going at Carolina. And a game that Carolina is currently favored in to win. And I do not understand it. The Browns are a far superior team in all aspects of the game, with the only question mark coming at quarterback with Jacoby Brissett. I think Myles Garrett is going to have an absolute fucking field day. Baker will play okay, but Baker is going to make a late mistake. Browns get a dub there. No doubt in my mind. Going on to week 2. Nice, easy cupcake game. We got the fucking Jets. They stink. So does their quarterback, even though he's a dog. So I got to start out 2-0. Going into that Thursday night game against Pittsburgh. This is going to be a very interesting game. I don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Steelers. I think that their defense is going to be really, really good. I think the Browns will start to catch stride and figure out who the fuck they are on offense at that point. I don't think we will have to really have too much of a massive offensive game plan against Carolina and the Jets. But I think week 3, we start to hit our stride. We get a dub against Pittsburgh. Going up against Atlanta week 4. I don't think that Atlanta is very good. They have some pieces that I think are very nice. I like Kyle Pitts. I do not like Drake London. I don't know that Mariota is going to revitalize his career down there in Arizona. That's a dub for the Browns. Starting out 4-0, we absolutely need that to happen. Then we move into week 5. Chargers. They're so fucking good. They're going to be so goddamn good. We're going to get smacked. I think this is going to be a comeback to reality game. I don't know that we are going to really keep this all that close. Our defense is going to have to really step up and shut down Justin Herbert, something that we could not do last year. We lost a game where there was 100 points scored, and we had almost half of them. So I got us losing there. New England. I was a little worried about this game at the start of the year, thinking New England was going to be better than they are. I'm very worried about New England and their offense. I don't know that they have an identity. I don't know who the fuck's calling plays. And the
Matt
Browns
Patricia.
defense, yeah, that's
Matt
an
Patricia.
awful decision. And the Browns defense is going to be absolutely fucking dominant this year. That Browns defense is going to be a top 5 unit in the NFL. Got a dub going against New England. All right, then we move on to Baltimore. This is going to be a tough game. We're playing at Baltimore. We typically do not play great at Baltimore. I think we dropped this game. Lamar is going to hopefully have a contract figured out. If not, I don't know that it makes a difference in this game. We're not going to be able to score enough points. This defense is going to be very good, but Lamar does so many things that other people cannot contend with, that defenses necessarily can't game plan for. So I got us losing there to Baltimore. Week 8, going to Cincinnati at home. Monday night. I like our chances to beat Cincinnati here. I think we do beat Cincinnati here. I think Cincinnati takes a step back. I think they're very, very good. Their defense is better. I think the Browns overall are a better team. At this point in the season, we know exactly what we're doing on offense. We can go ahead and take a primetime game away from one of America's sweethearts in Joey Burrow. So heading into the bye week, that's got us at 6-2. Week 10, we got the Dolphins. We should easily beat the Dolphins. However, I'm not sure that Tua is playing. I'm worried that your boy, our guy Skyler, is going to be starting for the Dolphins at this point. I think Tua is going to falter, and I think there's a chance that we will see some quarterback movement because Mike McDaniels is very smart. He knows how to win.
They still have Teddy back there, too.
I don't think they roll Teddy out there. I think they will maybe give the kid a shot. But I got us beating Miami for sure. Going into week 11 at Buffalo, there's no way. We're not picking that game up. The Bills are so goddamn good. They're going to be so fucking good on defense. That might be the best defense in the NFL. We won't score enough points. We lose to Buffalo. Going into week 12, we got Tampa at home. Tom is Tom. I think we drop this game as well. We're not going to have enough juice for quite some time to keep up with some of these high-powered offenses. Then everything changes. Week 13. Deshaun is back in probably the most talked about game of the week in week 13. Going down to Houston, I think we lose. Not because they're better. We're a better team. I think that all of the hype around this game, all the discussions, and it being Deshaun's first game back, he's going to go down there and I think he's going to lay an egg. I think we lose. And I'm not happy about that. Week 14, we get the Bengals again. Joey Burrow is going to get some revenge, and we're going to drop that game as well. Week 15, finally, Deshaun starts to figure out what he's doing, starts to get his stride. We're going to knock off the Ravens at home after dropping that early game. Saints, not sold on Jameis either. I think we can beat the Saints, even though they're very good on defense. And then we get Washington. They're going to be terrible too. Carson Wentz is awful. We're a far superior team in basically even if Jacoby's back there playing, I think we're a better team in every aspect of the game. I would take Jacoby over Carson Wentz. That's a win. And then we finish off the season with Pittsburgh. We're beating Pittsburgh twice. This will be the full-on is Mike Tomlin on the hot seat game because at that point he is in danger of having his first losing season. So that is what I got. So I had us at what, 1, 2, what's that? 3, 4, 5, what, 6 losses? 6 losses. So I got us going 11-6. I think is our most realistic opportunity, as our best record that we could get, because we have absolutely no idea what is going to happen once the change happens from Jacoby to Deshaun, and we're not even 100% sure that Jacoby is going to start all of those games throughout those first 11. If he falters, we could see a Josh Dobbs get into the game, and then I have no idea what the fuck is going to happen. So I think our best record right now is 11-6.
Yeah, and I can see a little bit of shakeup there. Pittsburgh with Trubisky, like I said, I was bullish on a prediction on him before, saying that he could be a top 15 quarterback by the end of the year. I liked what I saw from Pickett earlier on in the year, and there will be some growing pains and stuff with that. But I don't know that Tomlin will want to be in on the hot seat because of it. I think if anything, people are going to. I don't think Pittsburgh will be a playoff team, but I think people will be looking forward to that future, saying, what could this team be now that Pickett's in there? We see a little bit of a spark, because I mean, he looked really good in that preseason. Another interesting one, I don't think you guys are going to lose to the Falcons, but I did want to talk about them, and this will be a little bit more into next week. But have you watched on YouTube the JT O'Sullivan's channel?
I have not.
It is phenomenal. All right. Let me pull up the actual, I think it's the quarterback room or something like that.
So while you're pulling that up, I want to give a shout out real quick. I'm going to make producer Amber clip this, because if he responds, I'm going to be very, very excited. My guy, Joe Thomas.
Ooh.
Little Joe Thomas, 73 Kolsch from Great Lakes Brewing. I've never had it. This is my first time drinking it. So very excited. I hope it's really good, because we're live on YouTube. And if it's not very good, I'm going to feel obligated to still say it tastes good. But let's give this a try.
Lean into it.
'73 Kolsch is good. It is a little hoppy, but I mean, it's Kolsch. I mean, it's good fucking beer though. Shout out Joe Thomas for, having these guys do this. I think he's had it for a couple of years. This is the first time I've been able to get it, because I'm actually out here now. Good beer. I can't drink too many of these bad boys, because they are heavy, but yeah, good job, Great Lakes Brewing Company. That shit's good.
Nice. So JT O'Sullivan, former NFL quarterback, pretty much always kind of that backup guy or whatever. But he has his YouTube channel, The Quarterback School. And for anyone watching this that wants to get more into the actual X's and O's of football, I've watched it for a couple years now. It's incredible. He does such a good job of breaking down film. Like so far this preseason, he goes into the preseason games basically for any of these starting quarterbacks and first round pick quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks in general. So like Mac Jones, he broke down Mac Jones's preseason game. He does this each week for these quarterbacks that are new, developing, or on the hot seat. He's been doing it with Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, all this stuff. And he has the all 22 footage, and he will watch every single play from them. And he breaks down, this is what the line's doing. This is what the receiver's doing. This is what the receiver should have done. This is what the quarterback is seeing from the defensive back and why he should be making this decision. This is where he made mistakes. This is where he did things good, whether or not their footwork is good. This is all the stuff that he's got going on like right now. But if you go back through years of his channel, and he's got a Patreon, I believe, where he puts out even more content, it goes into what is a 3-4 defense, what is a 4-3 defense, what is cover 2, what is cover 3, what is quarters, all that stuff. He puts that all up on the screen and breaks it down Barney style for everybody. So that way, as you watch his channel further, you can see it all develop and put it all together and see what he's seeing from behind the screen. It's
so if you want to get football, if you want to get football smart, good channel to go watch.
Absolutely.
Instead of just being like a passive fan, you can actually learn about the game a little bit. I like that.
He's not just doing it from the offensive side. absolutely talks a lot about the offense, but he breaks down all these defensive scheme things and what defenders should be doing, because in order to be good at offense, you got to know what your opponent is doing and be able to anticipate that sort of stuff. I can't recommend that channel enough. It is awesome. Either way, long to say, Desmond Ridder, guy that I have been paying attention to a lot last year during the college football season, and now with the Atlanta Falcons. JT O'Sullivan loves what he's seeing out of Des Ridder. Yeah, and obviously you kind of become biased watching these films. If you are only watching film cut-ups of a person saying that, oh, this guy's doing the right thing, then me, as not a football player professionally or anything like that, not in that sort of coaching mentorship type of realm, I'm going to be like, okay, yeah, that sounds like he's doing really good. And he does find flaws and stuff in his game here and there. He's like, yeah, he made a mistake here. This is when he should have thrown the ball. This is who he should have thrown it to, blah, 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 stuff like that. But on the whole, he's really liking to see the development from Ridder. He's talking about how the offense fits him better here in the NFL than it did in college.
Something that we talked about with Cincinnati's offense.
And he's showing the difference between Mariota and Ridder. That delta is very small. And he's like, right now, your upside is all with Ridder. So they're going to go with Mariota as their starter. But he's like, we kind of see where Mariota is, and they are not necessarily carbon copy of each other at this point. He's like, the experience that Mariota has is phenomenal. But Ridder is just tapping into his NFL potential from NFL coaching and everything. And once he gets up to speed with the game, he's like, you might be blowing the cap off. So there's a lot of potential for Desmond Ridder. I've seen in some other areas of the internet where people are kind of echoing the same thing of they're going to start Mariota, but they shouldn't be. That they should be getting Desmond Ridder game time action right now because we don't think that the Falcons are a playoff team this year. Mm-hmm. So you might as well use this as like an extended training camp preseason type thing situation for Ridder. Let him get all these reps because next year it could be something more special. So
interesting. So, I mean, great for Dez. It was somebody that we talked about. We weren't bullish, but we thought maybe his game could translate to the NFL. We like some things that we saw. But I have a question about him starting. Like, we know they're going to start Mariota. They have to start Mariota. They want to give this kid some time, I think, right? You bring in Mariota for a reason, to let him be groomed. But when does that change happen? Because Browns get him in week 4, right? And the fucking Falcons bye week is not until week 14. So at what point do you make that decision, or do you go start him right away?
The way that O'Sullivan was talking was like you could start this guy right away and that benefit would be there. The the parallel that he kind of made it akin to was it took Tyrod Taylor getting stabbed in the lung for Justin Herbert to get in, and Justin Herbert absolutely, based on what we saw, should have been starting from right away. And he's like, right. I don't wish anything against Mariota. He's like, but if Mariota goes down, Mariota's never coming back in to start. And he's like, it'll be such an easy transition, and then everything will start picking up better for Ridder, just like it did with Herbert. And he's like, I'm not saying that he's going to reach Herbert levels of how good he could be, but you're going to see that sort of a transition and that sort of an ascension as far as being the starting quarterback there. So,
well, let's say that Mariota doesn't get hurt, and we hope he doesn't.
That's the problem.
When do they say, okay, this is not good enough? 0-4?
I would be willing at 0-4 to look at that. Yeah, for sure. I think
they got New Orleans, the Rams. They're not going to go 0-4 because they're playing Seattle, and then Cleveland in week 4. I think they could beat Seattle. I think they're a better team than Seattle is. I think they go 1-3. Is 1-3 enough? I think as an organization, probably it is. Is it enough in the fan base to say, no, we're ready to get off of this? Let's see what the kids got.
I mean, as a fan base, I think that they're going to be calling very quick for Ridder. As an organization, I don't know. I would like to see it by week 4 or week 5. If they are 0-4 or 1-4 or something like that, then it's time to put Ridder in. But I mean, we've seen Mariota in the past. He is a bit more of a mobile quarterback. They still don't have a great line there in front of him. The potential for getting hurt is out there. So it's something to watch. I think midway to maybe we'll say week 8 to 10 time frame is when we really could see a transition over to Ritter if the season is truly looking lost.
Yeah, over. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of prefaced it, talked about it just a little bit. How long is the leash for Tua? Because I don't think it's very long. He's not Mike McDaniel's guy. Now, obviously, he's been pumping him up just like Tyreek has. They have been fucking pulling the fucking all on Tua. But I don't know that he's going to stick.
I'm really sitting on the fence. I'm really sitting on the fence on this one. It's if anyone's going to pull the best out of Tua, I think it can be Mike McDaniels. I think that he can build that offense for it. But I think Tua is an average at best quarterback with very limited arm strength. You just go out and you get yourself a Tyreek Hill, who is known for being that very much those straight line speed type guy. Waddle fits better in the system with Tua than Tyreek. I don't know, man. I feel like he might get the whole year.
Could we see Skyler out there at some point? If this season is lost, are they going to trot out the 7th round rookie who nobody fucking talked about except for, well, you were the one who brought it to my attention. That this kid, I mean, the kid looks like he can fucking play, especially in that Mike McDaniel system.
I mean,
big arm too.
Play.
Big arm.
I don't know. I think that's another situation where they're going to let him sit, rest, groom, become an NFL quarterback. He was playing against threes. I know I am very happy for Skylar Thompson and how his preseason looked. Excited for him and his NFL future. But I wouldn't be surprised that if Tua goes down, if Teddy's the one going in and not Skylar, because it's a lot to put on the plate of a
7th round rookie,
7th round pick, right? I don't know, man. I do feel like if there's a quarterback switch, it will be for Teddy this year, and that the only time that we'll see Skylar is through more of a rash of injuries. Like if Tua were to go down for the season, then we're going to talk about, okay, we might see a little bit of flip-flop back and forth to see what we got in both of them.
Well, I think we know what we got in Teddy. Teddy is a mid to low tier backup in the league at this point. Does not have a big arm. And I don't know that maybe that works better in this Mike McDaniel system, running off the play action, but they want to take shots.
They need to take shots with Tyreek, but it worked with Jimmy Garoppolo up in San Fran. That's what Mike McDaniels is kind of used to. So that's, if anything, it's just more weird to me that they brought Tyreek in. Like Tyreek doesn't seem like the correct type of wide receiver for that. I could have seen AJ Brown going there over Tyreek because I feel like that sort of big body, strong receiver fits a little bit better. And with Waddle working the underneath and stuff like that, like that feeling felt better to me than Tyreek going there because you don't have a gunslinger.
Well, and Tyreek, this whole situation with Tyreek, pumping up Tua so much, it's starting to feel like it's forced. Like the amount of press that is being run. Like I don't know if there's bad blood that he's trying to get out by pumping up Tua, but like he has said some things about Jackson Mahomes, Pat Mahomes, felt like he was thrown away in the trash, and I don't know that he's really all that excited about Tua. I think he's putting it. I think he's doing a work right now. Anybody who out there who's a fan of professional wrestling, this is a work, and we're all marks. If you believe it, because I don't think that Tyreek thinks these things. I think he is concerned about where his production is going to go.
He's going to have a down year. He's got to have a down year. That's, like I said, we talk a little bit about fantasy football, I guess, because we got a fantasy football draft later and we don't want to spill any secrets to anybody that might be watching that we're going to be playing with or each other because we're competing against each other here. But like Tyreek is getting drafted high, and I believe it's way higher than he should because I think he's going to have a down year. That's why like all this Lamar to Miami stuff makes a little more sense because Lamar isn't the best passer, but he does have an arm. He can throw
fucking
far.
sling it.
So that would be an exciting situation. Realistically, if Lamar were to make his way down to Miami and have Tariq there and Jalen Waddle and all that, Tyreek will be just as vocal by the end of the year about who he wants to come in and play quarterback. That's how I'll put it. I mean, he's got to be vocal now about his current quarterback because otherwise it'd be a disaster for him to have been traded there and go there and all that.
So I will give a little bit of my information away on what happened. I do have Tyreek Hill on my fantasy team, the fantasy team I drafted last night. However, he was the third receiver I drafted.
Oof. All right.
So he did fall down boards a little bit, at least for us.
I guess, was it a standard league or a PPR league?
PPR.
Okay. Well, that's actually even more surprising because, like, I feel like the receivers get valued a little bit higher there.
They do. There were a lot of receivers that came off the board. Tyreek was a little bit lower. A lot of volume guys, and then I took a name that I don't want to give away, but I might just. Amon-Ra St. Brown is not being drafted high enough for fantasy football leagues.
Yeah, he's in an interesting spot. I think he's going to have a better year than he did last year, even though his
he's got more competition.
Are lower, but
he's got more competition for targets, but he's not.
That'll open up the door a little bit more to him.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the last. I'm not giving anything else away because I got to beat your guys' ass this year. I sucked in this league last year, so.
Hey, it was
but I also auto drafted. I fucking forgot when
the
shit was, and I auto drafted. I think maybe the entire draft, if not 95% of it. So,
all righty. Well, football on Thursday. You got anything else you want to go over, Mike?
No, I'm gonna fucking enjoy the rest of this delicious fucking beer. And no, I'm good. I'm gonna go talk with the kids, see how the fair was. I did not get to participate because, I'm here hanging out with my guy. But yeah, good show. I was very excited. I mean, football's fucking back, man. I was very excited, a little worried, pretty drunk, watching the Ohio State game. Maybe put some things out on Twitter that, were a little uncouth. Somebody asked the question, who's your favorite Ohio State coach? I went with Jim Tressel. But I also attached that with, I would rather have sanctions over somebody fingering butts in a club.
True.
So, but yeah, no, I'm excited, man. I cannot wait for this fucking weekend to get started. I don't have any plans other than to hang out, drink beer, watch football, and then I got to watch G, obviously, and their team go out, kick some ass. Internship will not be starting this weekend because it is an away game, but as of right now, it looks like I will be missing some Sundays. I am slotted to be an intern working and selling some 50-50 raffle tickets at every home Cleveland Browns game. So I'll be there interacting with the fans, selling some tickets. And then when that's done at the end of the third quarter, I get to sit my ass down in a seat provided by the Cleveland Browns and watch the rest of the game. So nice. I'm super fucking pumped for that.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I'm sure we're going to see lots of live tweets and maybe even some TikCCs or stuff on the social media of you out there.
Oh yeah, there will absolutely be some content that gets created while I am there. But yeah, I got nothing else. Thank you everybody who hopped in here. You're awesome. Shout out, $20 is $20. You continue to be one of our biggest supporters. If you guys like games, go check him out. If you want to interact with myself or Evo or anybody else in the Lineman Lounge community, you can go to Facebook. We have a group. There's a page. The group is better. You're going to get a lot more irreverent bullshit, a lot of memes in there. You could also go to the Twitter at Lineman Lounge. We got TikTok. There's some Instagram. And then if you want to just listen to the show because you don't like video, you can go anywhere that podcasts can be found. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that shit. We are there. I have finally caught up on all of our episodes. I fell a little bit behind with this week at school, not making sure that, shit was uploaded, but everything is there now. This one will be uploaded soon. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Evo, you got any parting words for the people?
No, just get your butts ready for some football next week. And we're going to definitely have some betting lines for you and stuff like that. So if you need to save up a little bit of scratch, make sure you do that. Bet responsibly. It feels like we're getting back into it. The off season is always a little bit of a slower, drier time, but now we're going to have nothing but nonstop hard hitting shit.
I got chills. I just got chills thinking about fucking football in this show every goddamn week, trying to make some money. I'm going to just have to funnel you guys a bunch of cash real quick, but all right.
Alrighty.
All right, let's get out of here. Thank you guys so much. By the way, Joe, this is fucking delicious. Thank you for having them make this. Love you guys. We're out of here. See you.
Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray, he's going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6.
What the fuck happened? B-roll. We haven't had that happen in a while.